is an amazing contraption, but that's not really what it's designed for. And so he was like, the Plenty is a better choice for that. And so you should try it. And yeah, it does that, you know?
Okay, dude, you look so funny. It looks like a thermos. It looks like a thermos. All right, yeah. So I got a couple quick questions as a longtime stoner, first time father. Are you doing the smokable feed the bottle late in the, I guess, evenings or early in the mornings? Is that the ritual that you're going with, or are you just doing that one stone cold sober?
No, both of them are amazing experiences on their own. I had the privilege of writing an article for this publication called Fatherly this week, all about like what it's like to be a father, an entrepreneur, and how cannabis fits into that whole lifestyle. And, it's pretty spectacular, man. I mean, like, I will say, like, having a child has completely changed me. I think it's beautiful, the energy, the connection. It's a very positive experience. In the evenings, if I do need a reset and I come up to my study and I smoke a little, obviously right now I'm vaping. Then when I go hang out with her, it's really cool, man. It just like, it opens me up to a whole different level of like connectivity, emotion. We're listening to like baby Mozart. And I don't know, man. I just feel like I really connect with her soul. And I just feel like cannabis helps me just, expand the way I feel. I don't know if that makes sense.
Hell yeah, it does. And I mean, I can't relate to being the parent part, but I've heard that time after time that it just changes your whole outlook on life. And so, cannabis being a revolutionary way of looking at through life as well, it's just got to be kind of like a cool new prism. That's awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it's like how many parents are there that love a glass of wine or whatever, to take the edge off from their workday, or they just need a break from being parents or whatever. Microdosing a little bit of cannabis is absolutely the exact same thing. There's a responsible way to do it. And then it can really make, yourself feel better, which ultimately makes you a more engaged, happier, effective parent. And I think it actually can make you interact with your child in a really awesome way, just because, as you know, weed opens your mind, dude. It opens your heart, it opens your mind, and a beautiful baby does the exact same thing. So it's like times that experience to 100, if you will.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you sell it really well. I may not personally be there ready on my.
I feel it, dude. I'm doing it. I'm 2 weeks in. I'm doing it.
You're gonna kill it. I'm so excited for you, man. That's gonna be so great. And we'll have to do like regularly checkups. Like if you're up at 5 a.m., you're like, I got the kid. Well, it's 6 a.m. here. That's an early wake and bake for me. So don't be shy. We'll do an Instagram live for those.
For sure.
Well, I love that we can sit here and talk about family, and you're grinning ear to ear, but I did want to, this is a kind of a weed-centric podcast, although I may dip into the fatherhood scene one day, but right now we're going to talk about your herbs. So I know that we kind of highlighted a couple of the strains last time, but y'all are playing with some really gnarly stuff out there in California. What my buddy said at Lindell White, I'm going to call them friends now, seeing as we trade DMs fairly often. But he said, if you want some of those authentic strains, you can go to California and they do it better than anyone in the world. But what Colorado is doing is pushing the envelope in a crazier, and whether it be strains or how it's grown or what's going about it in legislation, but they're pushing the boundaries in new and wondrous ways. But I feel like y'all are kind of like that vibe in California as well, that y'all are pushing some boundaries, whether it be how you're growing your marijuana, but also to the strains and who you're working with. And so we just kind of want to talk a little bit more about flower. I've got some pictures of them now for folks to see them on Instagram and YouTube, but it's just, we're smoking on the woods today. And we know that's a fan favorite for some movie writers in the Hollywood scene, but tell us what else you're working with over there at Golden State, Nishant.
Yeah. So, I obviously appreciate the kind words, man. And nothing makes me more stoked and makes my team more stoked to hear people love what we do. Right.
Look at this. Look at this. For those that
huge nuts.
Huge fluffer nutters right here. God.
Yeah. The amount of detail that goes into every jar. If you're buying a Golden State, you're subscribing to a premium experience. So we take it really, important that when you pop that jar, you should feel good. You should see big nugs in there. You should get hit with that, waft of smoke. You should see a lot of crystallization. Nothing should be dry. And we stand by that, right? Like at the end of the day, I want to be happy. I want to pop a jar of a Golden State and feel that way. But to your earlier question about, the weed, dude, we've been doing this a long time. We've been doing this deep into the medical days. We've been winning awards for it. We created the strain Zookies. So, it's in our DNA. And I'm lucky that I have such an amazing team of cultivators aside me. And we're just looking to innovate, right? Like we want to be producing weed that we want to smoke that we just can't find out there. And so we created ourselves. And that, woods right now, what you and I are smoking, really, really fun sativa, dominant terpenes, limonene, myrcene, caryophyllene, just a big punchy sativa, like you said.
That caryophyllene is my terpene profile. After doing those little assessments, like the BuzzFeed like quizzes, I feel like that one hits kind of on my personality levels as well as what I'm looking for in a buzz. And I don't know if that's what I get out of this one, but it slaps on every level. It's a very creative buzz.
Yeah. And it's got, if you look back at the original lineage before we really made it our own, it's got little bits of Miracle Alien cookies in there and stuff. And just, the tasting notes, the floral, herbal, citrus. And, funny enough, you mentioned a screenwriter, we got an amazing message a couple of years ago when Seth Rogen hit us up. And, he was just like, how the fuck do you guys grow weed like this? I've been going to the dispensary buying woods, every time we write movies, this is all we smoke. And I mean, it was cool, like, and it started a back and forth conversation, a friendship with Seth. And, it's awesome to see him get into the cannabis space now. But, again, it comes back to just the pride of having people be really stoked and satisfied with the cannabis that we produce.
I mean, and it's not only that, like, so our sponsor, he does some really great flower, and he actually comes from the Lemon Tree brand and family of California and came here. And he was like, you can find sexy flower, but if it doesn't smoke and give you that buzz when you buy it and take it home, if it doesn't produce for you, he's like, then it's all for shit. And so I think that's one thing that's commendable as well. So while you are putting out not only huge, sexy buds, this buzz is perfect. Like, it's great for the podcast. It's not an overly, like, you're not hand sweatingly high on the sativa end, and it's not something that will sink you or make you go all day either. It's like, I can see a creative's loving it. And so it is, I mean, you're making weed that you want to smoke, and in turn people are like, oh shit, this is delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the exact reaction that we're looking for. Oh shit, this is fucking ridiculous. I mean, and it's supposed to be balanced, man. Like, we're all adults here. Like, nobody wants to feel burned and just like zonked out or paranoid or like just crappy. That's not why we get high. You're looking to enhance your mood. You're looking to feel better. You're looking to self-medicate yourself. So that's what we create. We create really tasty, robust, small batch strains. For us, it's all about innovation. Like, we don't want to be growing what everybody else has. That's not fun for us. We want to showcase what we can do with our proprietary genetics, why the snow melt water from Mount Shasta is important, and then bundle it up into this beautiful packaging and just, have people really amped on it and just keep coming back for more.
And I feel like it is nice when you can create a quality product and you can find that kind of that regular buyer, because oftentimes with such a saturated market, which, Colorado and California, very much have in common, like there's dispensaries on every corner. How is it navigating the system over there? Like, is it booming? Is it crazy? Like, are people flocking to California's weed business like they are in Colorado? How is life out there on the West Coast?
So it's a loaded question, right? So I think I'll start by saying, I think that it's a crowded, saturated space. And yes, people are flooding the market thinking that it's like, hey, roll out of bed, start a weed company. It's so freaking easy, right?
Well, you see every musician, and I mean, we have a lot of athletes here in Colorado that have gotten their hands into the cannabis industry. Shout out Al Harrington. He with Viola. He's one of the first African-American run cannabis businesses in Colorado, in the country. But like, there's more and more athletes that are getting involved in CBD and THC. It's like, does it dilute the message as well as like, it's like we have Lil Wayne's product out here on shelves and shit like that. Like, is that a positive having like those huge names in the oversaturate in an already oversaturated market?
So I'll say this, right? Like, just like in California, in a state like Colorado, there might be 100 brands, right? Maybe 300 brands at a shop, maybe 1,000 brands at a shop. What percentage of those brands is actually producing and cultivating their own cannabis? Not even 10%. So at the end of the day, a lot of it is just, lipstick on a pig. It's just an exercise in branding. If you want to get a premium cannabis experience, you got to go to the cultivators. You got to find the guys that are creating and innovating and actually in control and put pride of ownership into the cannabis they're releasing. Celebrity brands will never be that, because all it is a licensing deal.
I think we know who we're talking about without saying it, because they flooded the Colorado market, and it's like great marketing. Beaster's weed, and you're like, well, damn it, they have lines out the door every single day, and I'm like, there's this quality doja right around the corner. But I feel one thing that we're having an issue with, and I know y'all are as well, is I don't know if it's necessarily an issue here, but it's the black market or the private donation-based systems. That's where the passion is usually grown, or where it's grown with passion, where you can get the really good flower. That's where we're seeing it most in Colorado, is like in these private grows, and you buy through a donation system. Whereas it's all gotten so corporate in the world, that it's hard to find a good mom and pop location or mom and pop brand that you can run with. So
I think in California, like, we obviously have a prevalent and successful, black market, right? There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of guys that have been in it for a long time at a very high level. And at the end of the day, man, it is hard as fuck to get into the legal cannabis market industry. Like, it's expensive, the regulations, the licensing, all the competition. So you're always going to have less talent, in my opinion, in the regulated market, because it's just the barriers to entry are higher. But with that being said, in a state like California, there's a lot of freaking talent. I mean, like, I tip
more ways than one.
Dude, yeah, like I tip my hat to the talent, because it's like, if me and my team were sleeping at the wheel, we would be out of the game fucking tomorrow. Like, if we weren't, innovating, holding ourselves accountable, producing fire fucking flower, we would be gone. And I at least for me, I like that. Like, that type of environment, that type of competition, it keeps you on your feet, and it makes the industry as a whole like go up, and at least today in a state like California, and even in Colorado, man, yes, there's a lot of corporatization of cannabis. Those guys don't know how to grow weed. They have no soul. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have the access to the legacy genetics. They're all thinking bigger, bigger, bigger. You and I both.
They're getting propped up by the government too.
Well, they are. But the thing is, like, in my opinion, there's a finite scale before quality has to suffer. It's like organic farming, right? Or something like that. Or your favorite high-end restaurant in Colorado. If that guy suddenly had 15 locations, the quality would suck.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to producing flour and things like that, there's a scale. When you get too big, the quality has to suffer. And so I think if you want to find quality, there is a lot of talent out there. You just need to know where to look. And there's enough of it that keeps all of us competitive and growing and evolving.
So you've mentioned that a couple of times, innovation and like trying to evolve, keeping you on your toes. What's next for you and your gang out there in Cali? What do y'all have on the docket? I know when I probably asked you that question last time, like, are y'all trying to grow more flower, different varietals, or y'all trying to dip your hand in the other industries?
Yeah.
What you got next?
Yeah. So, I mean, two-part, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of.
What do you want to smoke? What do you want us to create, man? We'll create it.
I mean, I love the flower, but I think what you'll start seeing and what I see a lot especially with people back home in Mississippi where things aren't legal yet. But because it's similar to a glass of wine, the vape cartridge and the vape